Boys and girls, part of your rotation when you are not working with me, you have a choice of doing iReady with notes. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. If at any time don't quite remember what you're supposed to do, you can watch this over. It will take you a little while to figure out what actually needs to go with your notes. Okay. And I'm going to show you an example of what I want it to look like also. Okay. So we're going to at some point get this folder together, but right now I just really want you to practice on the notes part. In this folder, you will have a table of contents. That table of contents, when you are in that iReady area, you're going to write the date that you are working in that area. Okay. So let's say it was August the 27th of 24. This pass percent, that's when you take a quiz. You might not take a quiz every day, and that's perfectly fine. We should be taking a quiz once or twice a week if you're following along with your lessons. When you go to iReady, it will tell you the name of your lesson. So let's say it is place value to the million. And sometimes you may be working on this for 2 days, and that's perfectly fine. Okay. In and I might want to write this later until I know what page it actually is in. Okay. So the date and the lesson title that you are working on. Okay. If it happens to go the next day, and let's say I went to iReady the next day, okay, I can just put these quotation marks to say I worked on the same lesson. If I see this about 5 times, that means there's something going on with how we're working through iReady. It should not take us 5 days to finish one lesson. After that, there's going to be a reminder page to show you the setup of your notes. Okay. If we look, it says record the date and page you are using in your folder. Okay, that was the beginning of our table of content. Use the front of the page for taking notes. So here's the front of the page. This means writing, drawing, mapping information, or steps you need for the skill you are learning. Okay, we have the lesson title at the top of our page, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment. We're going to break our page up like this. Okay, we're going to kind of put a line, and it's not quite the center because we don't need a lot of space for this side, and a line a few lines up from the bottom. Okay, this tells you what should go in each of those sections. Our vocabulary or keywords. If they are repeating words or pause to tell you what a word means, it's probably important. Write it down in the meeting. After the lesson or when they're reviewing the lesson, if you have questions like you don't quite understand a word or you don't understand steps, if you have specific questions, write them here. So if you have a chance, we'll go over and see if we can answer those. Or you can make sure you have that question in your head. If they're going through the review and you notice something answering your question, you can kind of mark it off. On this side, key ideas, pictures or models, formulas, repeated information. If they're saying something over and over again, it's probably important. I should probably write it down and remember it. And when they have you do the practice, show your practice work here. At the end of that lesson, so it might be on the first day you got done or on the second day. What did you learn? Okay. This is after the lesson, not necessarily after the quiz, but after the lesson before you get to the quiz. On the back of your page, show your quiz work. Okay. I can't see your brain. I don't know what's going on in there. There are very few times where we can't show this on paper. Okay. Remember to number the quiz numbers because if you don't pass it and you say, I don't know why I haven't passed it twice, I want to see what work you were doing. Circle your answer so we can find that quickly and do your best. Okay. We don't want to have to take the quiz over again. So if you don't pass the quiz the first time, that means you didn't learn what they were trying to show you. Okay. The last thing is to record your score on your quiz. So let's say it took me 2 days, but I took the quiz on this day. Write your score down. Okay. Our goal should be 80%. Although 70% is passing, I want to work for 80% every time. That means you really understood what they were asking you to learn. Okay. I'm going to show you what this should look like. I have a folder from a few years ago, okay, of one of my students that followed the directions. So Here's the table of contents. They started off with the growth check. If that day you're doing a growth check, write growth check, what page it was on. Growth check won't give you a score necessarily. That's for the teacher. Let's look at their second one. Although we didn't write dates because this was a different setup, we were doing rotations this year, they did write the lesson they were working on. Okay. At the end of that lesson, they wrote their score. Okay. That was a passing score. They moved them on to the next one. And they told the page number. So if I go to page 3, here's 2. They did their growth check. Here's page 3, right down here. Here's the title. Here's vocabulary. They have the word dividend. They wrote down what it means. They even put an example there because I'm pretty sure iReady did that. The divisor, same thing. And quotient. They gave the example circled to show what it was. Examples, keywords, repeated information. Remember that's what goes here. And pictures or models. Okay. Sometimes it's what they're showing you on there. Write it down. Okay. And the practice questions. Here are the practice questions. This person labeled that. That was their practice questions. If you need more space, use another piece of paper at the back of it. Okay. Here was their example. They showed a picture. Okay. When we're writing things down and looking at them over and over, that's going to help us understand and learn better. Here's the summary. Okay. Anything you learned. Okay. Anything divided by a number is the same as multiplying the number. This can be in your own words. Okay. This person wrote it so that they would understand what they learned. On the back, remember, here's their quiz. They numbered it. Number 1 showed their work. Number 2, number 3, number 4. If this person wanted to say, I don't know how I got a 75, I'm not sure what I got wrong. Well, I can pull up the quiz. We can look at the work this person did and see where our misconceptions were. Okay. If we look, here's the next one, our title, and it might be the same vocabulary as you had before. But if they're showing you in that lesson, they're repeating it because they want to make sure you know it. So we should write it down again. It's going to help us to remember that. Okay. So when I talk about, and I understand our drawings and things aren't going to be perfect, but we're going to try our best to make it nice and neat. This person did a really good job of writing down information that was important because it's repeated in the lesson. When teachers repeat things, we're letting you know that's important. Okay. So this note page will be in there for you to refer to. It's going to take a little while for you to get the hang of what needs to be in here. iReady works if you work with it, not just you looking at the screen. Okay. We have to learn how we can learn while we're working through a video or on the computer. Okay. Because you have to know, when should I pause? When is something that I didn't quite understand that? Let me go back and listen to it again. And if you have to go back and listen to it again, you might want to write it down. Okay. So make sure that you look at this when you're trying to build this out. It will take us a little bit of time, but hopefully that will